It's 8.5 minutes after 8. Good to have your company, Mick, right in the chair with you through until 9. Currently sitting on that 9-degree mark. 17 the expected max for today. And don't forget, if you're out and about on the roads, those school zones are in force until 9:30. 40 k's an hour is the speed limit. So please make sure you do the right thing out there. And look, it's that time of the month. We've got very special guests in this morning. Of course, it is our regular spot, Mental Health Matters. Darcy Hill and Emma McCaig have joined us this morning. How you doing, guys?
Mick.
Very good, thank you. Very good.
Lovely to have you on board this morning. And look, it's probably a bit of a part two from when we had Phil in last month and on autism. So it is a massive, massive subject. And I think, probably over the last, 5 to 10 years that I'm sort of aware of, it's just come out a lot more now, a lot more diagnosis, proper diagnosis, put it that way, has been out there. And thankfully there's a lot more research going on as well. And now you guys specialise in sort of childhood autism and things like that.
We do assessment across all ages. The oldest I've assessed is a man who was 80.
Wow.
I'm doing assessment with, say, women in their 60s because they've gone their whole life without knowing that they're autistic. So,
yeah, look, that must be a bit of a shock for the adults too, if they, particularly in older life, if they get an autism, that they're sort of like, oh, really? I had no idea.
yeah.
Often I find that when we are conducting our assessments for some of our younger kids that a lot of the parents will start to identify some of the same traits, and then the questions kind of come up around, hang on, I've always done that. And that's really similar with me. And then we start to explore potential assessment for them if that's what they're interested in. So, it's definitely something that adults are kind of more commonly seeking out their own assessment for as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, before we jump right into it this morning, can you give us a little bit of an idea of autism, neurodivergence? That's a word to be talking about on a Friday morning, isn't it?
Okay. I guess the neurodiversity idea is like biodiversity in nature. There are lots of types of human brains, and the autistic brain comes within that whole spectrum of brains. So, and everyone's an individual, but there are some, researched kind of differences that have been noticed around how autistic brains work generally.
Yeah. What are some of the differences that you're finding there?
And so on a neurological level, there is still plenty of research going into exactly what autism is in like what the neurotype is.
Yep.
And so there are some differences around connectivity within certain areas of our brains. And then there's also some differences between areas of how the brain communicates across different areas. But the main characteristics that we're really thinking of are differences in kind of how we're processing and sensing the world. So that often comes up in social communication differences, sensory differences, how we experience lights and sounds and things like that. But also having a bit of a preference for predictability and sameness and routine. And so they're kind of some of the core characteristics of autism.
Yeah. Now, when I think last month when we had Phil in, we were having a great chat about particularly adults with kids who had been diagnosed with, autism and things like that. So probably the big thing to talk about this morning is, at least one of them, is how do the parents sort of cope when they first get a diagnosis with their children, and then they're like, okay, what are the next steps that we take? What do you guys see there happening in that realm?
Yeah, I think it really, really varies for different families.
Yep.
I wonder, actually, Emma, you might have some experience to share with this.
Lived experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That was a nice setup. Thank you. So, yes, two of my daughters, I've got 4 daughters, 25 twins who are 25, 20 and 16. So,
really?
Yeah.
Just for you guys out there listening this morning, obviously you've got no visuals, but Emma does not look like anywhere near the age to have 2 25-year-old twins. That is, whatever you've got going on there, please bottle it up. And we'll go halves in some of the profits, I think. That'd be great.
Yeah, so my younger daughters both have diagnoses of autism and ADHD. So, yeah, we have a lot of neurodiversity in our families. So, yeah.
What are some of the ways that you guys have been, I guess, Darcy was just mentioning about, there are the differences, but then you're looking for the sameness. And is routine a big part of, I guess, raising kids with autism?
Yeah. The people who have both ADHD and autism diagnoses do not probably present in a typical autistic way necessarily. So they may or may not need as much routine, but I find the bigger complication for autistic kids is when their processes are disrupted. So, them trying to, or, their strength in their focus then also comes with a greater difficulty at switching focus. So that can lead to, heightened emotions, anxiety. So, yeah, in terms of, I don't know if I'm jumping a little too far, but a strategy that I've had for my girls is giving them, information, say dinner's going to be ready in a little while, not even time frames. I'm really very flexible. And just so they know it's not like stop what you're doing, but we've had the conversation. If I say this, you need to know that I'm going to expect you to stop what you're doing when you can, when you kind of finish whatever you're working on,
Yep.
Within reason, and dinner's going to be ready. So come out and have dinner, please. It's just very low demand. So,
yeah. I think as we find that as we increase predictability and introduce a sense of routine for lots of autistic individuals, that we can start to reduce the anxiety levels that often come along with lots of change. And so when we know that, then we actually can really put in some helpful strategies in place to support autistic kids. Because I think something that we often find, especially within our roles as psychologists, that parents and also staff and teachers find that there'll be some more challenges that arise when we're transitioning from class A to class B, or we're going from school to home, or even just often when kids do get home, they've been masking all day, so they have a tendency to try to kind of pretend and hold things in all day, and then the transition home becomes like a really challenging time. And so we're really hoping to be able to provide a bit more information and some practical strategies, especially for parents in our upcoming workshop, which would be really cool.
Yeah, awesome. This is our monthly segment, Mental Health Matters. We've got Darcy and Emma in with us. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with the guys right after this. Stay with us. It's Rhema Brekky. It is your Friday morning. It's 20 and a half minutes after 8 on your Friday morning edition of Rhema Brekky. Good to have your company, Mick, right with you through until 9, currently sitting on that 9-degree mark, heading for an expected top of around 17 degrees. Of course, we are in the middle of our segment, our monthly segment, Mental Health Matters. Of course, talking to Darcy Hill and Emma McCaig in this morning and looking at a big topic, this one, autism, and particularly in children. Now, before we get more into this, guys, a little bit about autism and, of course, the parents' mental health as well. This is probably something that's often overlooked in a lot of
the parents themselves,
in a lot of fields. So, can you talk to us this morning about, I guess, some of the ways that the parents would be able to look after themselves mentally as well? Because it can be a challenging time, can't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I even think to remind parents of the little things, like make yourself a dentist appointment, go to the doctor, and if it's just little things in a day, like stepping outside and feeling the sun on your skin, those mindfulness activities all incrementally have a positive effect. So and go and see a psychologist or counsellor if you need some strategies and some support.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think as well, really normalising the experience for parents with autistic children too. We have some amazing research out there that shows us that parents of autistic children experience more psychological distress, more anxiety and depression-related disorders as they're kind of in their parenting journey compared to parents that have neurotypical children. And so we kind of know that there's a real need for looking after our parents with autistic children and being able to provide that support. And like as Emma was saying, being able to reach out to some professional supports is an awesome way to do that. But our research also tells us that informal supports carry so much of that weight.
Yep.
And so being able to talk to other parents, spend time with friends and family, and reach to the people around you can make such a big difference. So
Yeah.
Yep, having the support network is all important, isn't it?
Yes, very important. Yeah.
And then maybe, not everyone has that, but just, connecting maybe with other groups in the area, other families, or there's definitely some resources around here on the Central Coast.
Yep, absolutely. Now, look, this morning we really want to get into this one because of the workshop that's coming up. So we were talking with Phil about it last month, but you guys are here now. So give us a bit of a rundown of the workshop, what it's about, some of the things that will be taking place, what you'll be discussing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We are super excited to be presenting this workshop. And so this is going to be held at Epico Church in Erina. It's going to be next Sunday, 9th of August at 5 p.m. And so our workshop is really targeted towards parents and caregivers of autistic children, and we're going to be covering kind of broad topics, but we're also going to go kind of specific into some strategies, because I think that's really what parents are often asking for. So we're going to cover kind of what autism is, kind of going into some of that kind of brain science. We're going to talk about what's a neuroaffirming approach to autism, because I think that's really important in today's kind of approach and how we support autistic kids. Practical strategies and definitely some self-care tips and looking after yourself as a parent as well. So, yeah.
And the strategies, we've got a few key ones we find we give people quite a lot, and that I've probably personally found helpful, because what works for neurotypical kids, so the kids who have the majority brain type and say aren't autistic, ADHD or anything that's a bit diverse from that, they don't work for autistic kids. And so parents are trying to find resources and trying to find the right strategies, and often they're not working, and that's kind of part of the problem for the kids, for the parents' mental health. Just knowing what works, why does this work, and being able to implement that.
How do you usually find kids with school life as well? It could be challenging, I would imagine, would be probably the best word there.
Whole segment in itself.
That's a whole separate segment, but I think there's some really good kind of consideration to have around whether or not our schools and society and infrastructure kind of in general is set up in a way to support autistic children. Because I think often that's where some of the challenges come up, right? It's like, are the supports in place for autistic children, or is it more around the majority brain? And so that's a whole other can of worms with that. But we'll definitely be touching on these things in our workshop. So if this is something that feels like it's a topic that hits home, or if you're wanting a bit more information around it, coming to check out our workshop is super important. So being able to register.
We'll have to get you guys back in for another session, I think, at some other point down the track, because, again, that would be an area I would love to get into, because obviously, a lot of mums and dads listening in early in the morning, they're getting the kids ready, getting them off to school and different things like that. So that's a whole area of challenge that they are faced with first thing of a morning, pretty much 5 days a week, all through their schooling life. So it can be a tricky one. Yeah,
there's a big school can't movement, it's called. So, if people even Google that, or, there's Facebook groups, there's a lot of parents going through this and reframing their understanding of school refusal, which is the the common term to school can't, because maybe for various reasons kids just aren't feeling psychologically safe at school.
Sure.
For so many reasons,
Yeah, and look, kids being kids, there's really no filters, is there? It's all out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which can be a challenge in itself. Now, one of the things I really wanted to finish off with this morning, particularly, was I think Darcy, you just mentioned that there before about the just affirming the kids, the diagnosis, and all that kind of stuff, because once there is a diagnosis, you see these things in the children. It's like, okay, how do we handle this? Because it's not something that will just come and go, will it? It's basically, this is who you are. Yeah. So what are some of the ways that you're finding that are probably even some tips that you could share this morning with the parents who may be listening in, just going, all right, how do I just really affirm the kids and what's going on here?
Yeah. Neuroaffirming approach is kind of taking away this idea that autism is something that is this problem that you have to fix. It's not, autism isn't something that we assess, diagnose, and then there's like this cure that we need to put in place. We actually want to be celebrating the different brains that are with us in our families, and kind of shifting our mindset to be doing that, right? And so it's less about punishment and it's more about support. It's not what's wrong with our kids, it's how can we support our kids and what do they need right now. And it's not about misbehavior, it's about what is this behavior communicating to me as a parent. And then I guess, we'll be exploring all of those things really practically on how to do that. So,
Yep. And of course, that's coming up Sunday the 9th, which is what's that, next Sunday, isn't it?
I think so.
Yes.
It's coming up.
2026 is just going way too fast for my liking.
Yeah.
I've got to say it. It's like, wait a minute, wasn't it last week that we had Phil in here? No, that was a whole month ago. So, now, will you guys be speaking at the workshop at all?
Oh, yes,
Yes,
we are the speakers.
We are the presenters for this workshop. Yeah.
Great. So can you give people a bit of an idea for each of you what you are going to be, it's a bit of a teaser, I guess, for what you want people to expect?
Yeah, it's pretty conversational, I think, quite like this, Darcy and I presenting together, but basically on, understanding the autistic brain, how it works, how do we support kids based on that knowledge, and then also, around the supporting parents' mental health, just some practical tips and ideas that they can take home and implement. That it's easy things.
Yeah, and we'll be able to provide some resources for that, right? So particularly things around how do we create things like social stories and visual routines and the actual language that we can use to support our autistic kids. It will all be part of that. But I guess that's a bit of a teaser. I know you're wanting a little bit of a teaser of it. So visual routines, language, and kind of understanding behavior from a different lens. Yeah,
awesome. Now, again, just if people want to get on board with this and registration, all that kind of thing, where can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can register online through epico.org /. Equip.
Yep.
And this is a completely free event. So this isn't something that is going to be costing. It is a free event, and I think that's really important to support parents to have accessible information, right? So registering at epico.org.au/equip.
Yep. And what's the sort of time frame as well for regos? You can probably do it right up to the day. Have you got a certain number you need to cap at?
No. Yeah, right up into the date. But it just helps us to know on the registrations who's coming so we can best provide the space.
Sure.
So, but earlier the better.
Yep, absolutely. Guys, it's been a real pleasure to have you in. And like I said, let's do this again because there is so much more of this we can explore. And again, it is such a massive, massive topic now. And I think even, like I said, probably in the last even 10 to 20 years that I've really seen this happening is just more of the research going into the brain.
Big shift.
And just going, this is there's some stuff going on here we need to actually be aware of.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
And particularly as Christians, in the God factor, we need to take that into account. And I think there's just been that's another area I'd love to get into, but we haven't really done it the best.
Ooh. Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
We'll leave it with that one this morning. Yeah, we can do a whole lot better. Darcy and Emma, thank you so much, guys, for coming in. It's been an absolute pleasure. This is Rhema Brekky on your Friday morning. Stay with us. We've got the 8:30 news coming up next.